And I just want to say that I am really proud to be part of the Army, standing up to Washington, D.C. and telling them to stand down, stand back. Your time and your effort to push back on a federal government that's spiraling out of control is greatly appreciated. Judge, I want to say what an honor it is to be in your presence today, and letting people all across the country, as well as in the great state of Texas, understand just how important the 10th Amendment is, and the people of the state of Texas respect it, support it, and it's not just a Texas issue. Instead, our collective voices are being joined by a chorus of concerned citizens from across this country. They're frustrated, as we are, with a federal government that is rewriting the basic rules to expand its power, intruding further and further into our lives. And, we're not the only ones to realize that Washington's pronouncements are not just some rhetorical gymnastics, but these are legitimate threats to our freedom, our finances, and our future. Contrary to the accusations of the liberal media elites. Not you, sir. I don't put you except in one of the three of those categories. You are the media. But you are not a liberal, and I've been around enough to know that you are not a lead either. But what we're all about is standing up for this country. There are some of those media liberal elites that would like to say that all this is about is they're there to preach rebellion, subversion, insurrection. I beg to differ. This is about expressing our love for the greatest country on the earth. It's about discussing how to keep it from driving off of the cliff. We're part of a growing movement across our nation of sensible people from every race and creed, political party, who cannot abide this ongoing assault on our values that made our nation great. And it's the freedoms that set us apart from any other country in the world. Folks here not only understand the importance of liberty, you love it so much you're willing to take a stand for it. Raise our voices in the defense of it. I don't have to tell you that our fellow Americans are having a tough go of it right now, the way this current economy is. And these are not problems that are going to fix themselves. But here in Texas, we're working harder than ever to create jobs. Unfortunately, it seems like Washington, D.C. is doing everything they can to counter our efforts. Whether they're contemplating laws and regulations that will cripple our energy industry, kill jobs, or they're hatching some health care scheme that will diminish care and cost Texans tens of billions of dollars. Washington is a bigger threat to our economy than cheap third world labor. And I don't have to point any further than this administration's newest budget as Exhibit A. Something is clearly wrong when an administration spending plan anticipates more than $5 trillion of new debt over the next 5 years. It gets worse when Congress sends legislation to the president that not only allows the U.S. to borrow another $1.9 trillion, but it also hikes our national debt limit to a historic $14.3 trillion. You throw in the Inspector General's report on the bailouts from September of 2008, that bailout. And when you read it, and it talks about possible criminal and civil fraud, tax evasion, insider trading, public corruption, it gets pretty clear that accountability may not even be a word that is in the lexicon in Washington, D.C. Instead of tightening their belts like we did here in the state of Texas, just like families are doing all across this country, just like small businesses are doing. Folks in Washington are spending money that they don't have on solutions that they have not thought through, on problems they really don't understand. And Judge, I will suggest the reason they're doing that is so that they will make us more dependent upon them. That's what's going on. Jody, how great would it be if Washington stopped trying to be all things to all people and gets focused on just a few basic responsibilities? Like delivering the mail on time. Like securing the border. You know, I always thought there were three things the military or the government ought to do. One is stand a military, and we do that better than anybody in the world. Young men and women standing between us and those who would destroy this country because they hate our way of life. And the other two is deliver the mail on time and secure the borders. And let me tell you, 1 out of 3 is not good enough. Our founding fathers believed in limited government. They believed in doing those basic things and doing them really well. And they believed in limited government for a reason, because they had seen firsthand the danger of the British example. What happens when government goes unchecked? Those limits that are so clearly laid out in the Constitution I don't even think they're a speed bump to the people in Washington, D.C. today. They are continuing to erode our rights, wasting our tax dollars, and burying not only us, but the next generation in a mountain of debt. And it is well past time for us to halt their endless intrusions into our lives. Put a stop to the out-of-control spending. Restore our commitment to a set of long-term shared values. I'm talking about values that were forged on the anvil of experience. Values that form the nucleus of this nation. Values that our fighting men and women have died for all around this globe. I'm talking about life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. I'm talking about that uniquely American freedom to plot one's own course, pursue one's own dreams without the fear of government interference. Now, the federal government has its hand too far in our pockets, its nose too far in our business, and its fingers too deep in its own ears to hear the people telling it, no, stop. It's time for the federal government to be less intrusive and more respectful to the wishes of our state and its citizens. We know that the route to success. Paxton, I tell people, I said, listen, I may only be an animal science major from the beloved Texas A&M. But I said, I get it when it comes to governing. Judge, I mean, you don't have to be a PhD in political science from Harvard to understand the principles of governing. It's really pretty simple. It is incredibly simple. Don't spend all the money. Okay? Have a tax and a regulatory climate that is fair, that is predictable. Have a legal system that does not allow for oversuing. And have an accountable public school system, which basically says that there will be a skilled workforce. You either have that career or that college-ready product coming out of those high schools. And Kathy, at that particular point in time, you put those 4 things into place, and then you get out of the way. Government, get out of the way and let the private sector do what the private sector does best. That is create jobs, which in turn creates wealth.